Human beings rarely travel the spiritual path alone. From the earliest villages to modern cities, people have gathered around shared stories, rituals, and symbols that give meaning to life and strength to community. Religion was never only about answering life's greatest questions, it was also about belonging, cooperation, and finding our place within something larger than ourselves. As civilizations grew, spirituality evolved alongside them, helping shape not only personal belief, but the very foundations of society. Hi, I'm Eric, and welcome back to another video from Dragonfly Awakening. This is part 2 of the origins of religion in human history. Ritual and myth helped early humans face the greatest unknowns of life: weather, natural disaster, illness, and death. Through shared stories and embodied practices, visible life became united with invisible meaning. In this earliest form, religion was not about institutions or authority, but about wonder, humility, and belonging. It offered a way to stand together before forces far greater than any individual. Over time, religion naturally grew into a guiding force. As human communities expanded, people needed shared frameworks to live together, ways to cultivate trust, cooperation, and continuity. Religion began to serve 3 essential functions that remain central even today: moral structure, communal cohesion, and hope beyond what could be immediately seen or controlled. As villages grew into towns and as agriculture demanded cooperation, timing, and shared responsibilities, religious ideas evolved alongside social needs. Concepts of right and wrong emerged not as abstract commandments, but as practical wisdom, what helped the group survive and what threatened its stability. Rituals marked the major thresholds of life: birth, coming of age, partnership, and death. Myth provided orientation, offering stories of origin and destiny that situated individuals within something larger than themselves. It is during this phase that religion began to take on what scholars commonly identify as its 4 foundational attributes: ritual, morality, myth, and altered states of consciousness. These were not imposed from above, but arose organically from human experience, ways of interacting in the physical, emotional, social, and transcendent dimensions of life into a coherent whole. At this stage, religion was still shared belief, not centralized authority. It functioned less as a system of control and more as a communal language for meaning, helping people navigate life together with purpose and hope in a world that was still largely mysterious. After moving to a small town, I realized that I had taken one thing for granted: fellowship. In large cities, I could always find communities aligned with my spiritual interests. Those were meditation groups, churches, sanghas, and study circles. These spaces mattered more than I had realized. They provided not just practice, but connection, not just ideas, but shared presence. Their absence made something clear: religion is more than belief, it is belonging. Shared rituals, shared symbols, and shared stories bind people together. They create coherence through an invisible thread of mutual recognition that says, "You are not alone here." This function of religion is ancient. In Sumer, a civilization that developed long before Egypt, the temple functioned as both sacred and communal. It was a place of myth and offering. Yes, but also of gathering, service, exchange, and identity. Through visible symbols and shared ritual life, individuals were woven into a collective whole. As populations grew, moral codes emerged, not as abstract commandments, but as practical tools to maintain harmony. Rituals then served as a way to restore that harmony whenever it was fractured. As historians have noticed, all the earliest known forms of social life are characterized by the performance of public ceremonies, which are almost always religious. What is especially striking in the earliest records, dating back as far as 3500 BCE, is the relationship these cultures imagined between humans and the divine. Humans were not viewed as fallen, contemptible, or unworthy. They were seen as collaborators, co-workers of the gods. The gods did not dwell in distant heavens, but lived among the people, housed within temples here on earth. Humanity's physical form was understood as an asset, a way to help carry divine intentions into material reality. This relationship was reciprocal. People served the temples. The temples in turn ensured the community's daily needs were met. Among those provisions was beer, which in Mesopotamian culture was considered the drink of the gods. I have to admit, I always knew this was true. As independent spiritual insights gathered into collective life, they began to harmonize. Personal beliefs were woven together into sacred, shared structures, stories, and practices. When difficulties arose, the gods were appealed to, ancestors were honored, and the rhythms of the seasons were trusted. Religion in this early form functioned less as a system of rules and more as a shared orientation toward meaning. In early China, for example, ancestor reverence and belief in Tian, often translated as heaven or cosmic order, offered people a vantage point beyond immediate suffering. Life's hardships were not isolated events, but part of a larger moral and cosmic tapestry. When people felt small beneath the stars, when death loomed close, or when survival itself felt uncertain, religion provided something essential: perspective. It affirmed that human life held value beyond the fragile span of the physical body. In this way, religion offered more than explanation. It offered belonging. It placed individuals within a living cosmos connected to ancestors, community, and the unseen forces that shaped existence. This sense of participation in something larger than oneself helped early humans endure uncertainty and loss. And in many ways, it still serves that function today. But the story of religion is not unblemished. As ritual matured into institution and as symbols were codified and authority centralized, a shadow began to form. What was once fluid and living sometimes hardened into rigidity. Structures designed to support meaning began at times to enforce conformity. When religion ceases to breathe, when it loses its intimacy and adaptability, it can slip from guidance into control. This is not a condemnation, but an observation. Every powerful human creation carries the potential for both illumination and distortion. And it is here, at this turning point, that religion's history becomes more complex, revealing both its capacity to unite and its tendency to divide. For thousands of years, religion offered humanity a source of meaning, identity, and connection. It helped communities endure hardship, navigate uncertainty, and find purpose within a vast and mysterious world. Yet every powerful force carries within it the potential for transformation. As religious traditions became larger, more structured, and more influential, new challenges emerged. The same institutions that united people could also divide them. And it is here at the crossroads between inspiration and authority that the next chapter of the story begins. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of the origins of religion in human history. Join us next in part 3. As always, much light, love, and happiness to you always.